coming from Disney, ABC. The anchor of This Week on ABC News with George Stephanopoulos might actually be departing sooner than you think. So there has been a lot of rumblings there at ABC for quite some time. In fact, he was pretty mad, after it turned out his network had to pay $16 million because he just blatantly libeled the president, and it went all the way to court, and ABC was like, what do we do? Oh, we'll give him $16 million, $1 million for the lawyers, $15 million to the presidential library. And so George has been kind of on the down and outs ever since then, and he can't quite move on, so it seems. So there was an incident that happened there on the show over the weekend. You see, he wanted to ask about what has been alleged about Tom Homan. There's these reports that Tom Homan was caught in some kind of sting operation. We don't have a whole lot of information on it. The administration is saying it's not true. But think about what was going on Sunday, okay? The president's flying over to Israel and then to Egypt, right? Because we're in the middle of a peace deal. They're about to, hours from then, release the hostages. We got a mega shutdown going on that's costing thousands of people their jobs. Thousands of people in the federal government are being laid off. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, okay, all right, I'll take that because the federal government's too big anyway. We all know that. Anyway, they got all this stuff going on. But Georgie Poo is like a dog with a bone, and all he can do is talk about Tom Homan. And so JD, the vice president of the United States of America, mind you, he goes on the show and he calls him out on it. And then watch what ensues. Take a peek with me.
To George, I saw media reports that Tom Homan accepted a bribe. There's no evidence of that. And here's, George, why fewer and fewer people watch your program and why you're losing credibility. Because you're talking for now 5 minutes with the Vice President of the United States about this story regarding Tom Homan, a story that I've read about, but I don't even know the video that you're talking about. Meanwhile, low-income women can't get food because the Democrats and Chuck Schumer have shut down the government. Right now, we're trying to figure out how to pay our troops because Chuck Schumer has shut down the government. You are focused on a bogus story. You're insinuating criminal wrongdoing against a guy who has done nothing wrong instead of focusing on the fact that our country is struggling because our government's shut down. Let's talk about the real issues, George. I think the American people would benefit much more from that than from you going down some weird left-wing rabbit hole where the facts clearly show that Tom Homan didn't engage in any criminal wrongdoing.
Ouch.
It's not a weird left-wing rabbit hole. I didn't insinuate anything. I asked you whether Tom Homan accepted $50,000, as was heard on an audio tape recorded by the FBI in September 2024, and you did not answer the question. Thank you for your time this morning.
No, George, I said that I don't.
Up next, we'll be right back.
Whoa. Okay, so that's what you call a dirty trick. Okay, I know, because I've been in this business a while. That is a dirty trick. He's like, I got to get the last word. I got to get the last word. I mean, Whoopi Goldberg pulled the same thing on Cheryl Hines today. I'm going to show you that clip too. But he's like, I got to get the last word. I'm right. You're wrong. I'm going to commercial. So now the danger is, if this turns out to be a whole bunch of fiction about Tom Homan, did he just deliberately libel somebody yet again, as J.D. Vance accused him of doing? And let me just go back to basics here. You know what? We try and do elevated work, right, on this show, which is why you rarely see me down in the gutter talking about stuff that, really is not worth our time of day. In this particular case, it is worth our time of day because I am a journalist. I've been a journalist for a couple of decades. I've won all kinds of awards for journalism with a capital J. And I'm going to tell you, I'm a very opinionated journalist at that, and you know exactly where I stand. I wear it on my sleeve, perhaps too much so sometimes. But it's important that you know where I stand. I would say that this guy, he's a card-carrying Democrat, right? For goodness sakes, he was the flack for none other than Bill Clinton, and then somehow gets the job with the capital J as a journalist at ABC News, headlining their weekend political show? I don't think so. I'm not buying that. Not buying that for 2 seconds, okay? So he is a biased person. He has his bias out there, and he chooses to go down into the gutter on some stories that really, if you only have so much time with the vice president, where are you going to start? Let me ask you, as a journalist, where are you going to start? You're going to start on the shutdown. You're going to start on the peace deal. You're going to, you know what? And if you want to play devil's advocate, you can try and poke holes in the peace deal, just like Obama was trying to do. And Ben Rhodes, his little lackey was trying to do. That's where you go, okay? If you're Georgie Poo and you want to be kind of a pain in the you-know-what, But you go to Tom Homan, like kind of a nothing story that we don't really know anything about. Okay, so I'm just saying, like, from a news value standpoint, JD was absolutely right. And then Georgie Poo turns around and does a nasty little dirty trick by, boom, going to commercial as soon as you can and not letting him have the last word. Well, this did not go unnoticed. No, it did not. By one president of the United States, Donald J. Trump, who already can't stand ABC News and has already sued them and won $16 million in the process. Watch.
ABC fake news.
Mr. Brian,
please.
First of all, congratulations.
I don't take questions from ABC fake news. After what you did with Stephanopoulos to the Vice President of the United States, I don't take questions from ABC fake news. Brian, go ahead.
Yes.
So now they're going to have a hard time getting in some questions. So here's the deal on Georgie. So little Georgie, and I mean very little, but and the only reason I kind of actually have to point that out is because whenever you're a guest on his show, I've been on Good Morning America before, and he's interviewing you, you get put in a little chair where you feel like the little kid, you know, you feel like you're in a high chair, and then Georgie's way up here. I'm 5'7". You put 4-inch high heels on me. I'm a tall woman, right? And Georgie's like down here, but you wouldn't know it on camera, right? Because, you know, I'm sitting in the big kid's table. So Georgie, he's already on thin ice. Bob Iger's going to be like, you know, I mean, he's tearing his hair out. He's got The View to deal with, and now he's got Georgie pants to deal with. And then on top of that, little Georgie doesn't seem to want to be there anymore. Which, by the way, I can't blame him. I wouldn't want to be at ABC News either. And he's already been communicating via sources to the New York Post. Oh, that story's out about 6 months ago, right? That he's had it. He wants out. So you know what, Georgie? Go do something else. You know what? It's way better over here on the other side. You don't actually have to deal with middle management. And you can actually say exactly what you think, which you're trying to do on your little ABC show. But, you know, I know it's really hard because you got to walk a straight and narrow path. Well, guess what? You can get rid of all those rules. Come here. Let me see if you can compete against us over here on YouTube or Rumble. or Spotify. By the way, guys, make sure you follow me on Spotify. I put that in the show links. We got a small little channel over there, though it's growing and growing. Hey, we're 1.1 million here. You got to start somewhere. I think we're at 12,000 subs on Spotify. So do me a favor, go check it out and make sure you subscribe. The point being that Georgie is seeing sort of the end. Yeah, you know, buddy, I think that your little nickname for him is a good one. Stephanopoulos, I think he's calling him. He's saying he's a defamed Clinton veteran. Yes, I mean, he came right out of the Clinton White House. And so he's not a journalist in any way, shape, or form. And to masquerade as one is getting kind of annoying. So I think, hey, if he wants to go on his own accord, great. If ABC has to finally pull the plug, even better. And I think everybody else will be better off in the process for it, right? I mean, like they get a few that they need to get rid of, shall we say, over there. It's not just Georgia. I mean, it wasn't that wasn't the only thing that went wrong over the weekend. There was a moment where he clearly proved, and I say this as a student of American history. I went to Columbia to study American history back in the day when Columbia was actually Columbia. I can't say the same thing about the school anymore, but nonetheless, my sort of, you know, background is obviously in finance, but also in American history. And I'm just blown away by the fact that the guy who's anchoring this week on ABC News doesn't even know anything about what this country went through in terms of civil rights and how the National Guard had to get called into places like, 1963 Alabama, George Wallace. Yeah, so when he's talking about what's going on in D.C. or in L.A. or in Brandon Johnson's Chicago, where Donald Trump is offering to bring in the summer of heat, right? That's what they called it because they've been able to reduce crime dramatically in the Washington, D.C. area. If they're offering that then up to Chicago, and Stephanopoulos is so upset about this, saying, oh my gosh, like this has never happened before. It's never, ever, ever happened in history before. And I'm like, buddy, it's hard to watch these people, really, because they don't know the basics.
That far is the president going to invoke the Insurrection Act.
Nearly half of U.S. presidents have invoked the Insurrection Act during their terms, some more than once. Donald Trump said he would do it during his first
Not
term.
over the objections of governors.
Absolutely. Think about Eisenhower and Little Rock. It was absolutely over the objection of the governor to desegregate the schools. The Insurrection Act, for years, lawyers have been saying this is far too broad. They warned about it at the beginning of the Biden administration. This is the time to change the Insurrection Act. We missed the opportunity then, and here we are.
Okay, so she's obviously upset, but she is correcting him, saying, hey, George, you know what? This has happened a lot. It's happened a lot, and it's happened so much that actually people were pointing to this and saying it could be a vulnerability in the system. But he doesn't know his history. He doesn't know squat. He only knows his political viewpoint, his political talking points, which, by the way, are no longer relevant because the country said bye-bye. All right, Electoral College and the popular vote. And just look at where the Democrats are now, down with a 30% approval rating. I'm telling you, it's over for these guys. Over, finito. And George isn't the only one on thin ice. I mean, that View show, I've been saying forever, they got to get rid of this thing because, you got FCC regulations that actually do govern network television. And I'm a big believer in freedom of speech. You know that. Our First Amendment is near and dear, obviously, to my heart. But when I look at a show like The View, and I consider the fact that there's the FCC, which is responsible. You go back to the, 1933, 1934 Communications Act, when all of the television, networks were just first coming out. They had a duty to their community. And that duty still exists to their community, but you wouldn't know it on The View because it's nothing but a whole bunch of false information, or shall I say, state information fed to you courtesy of the Democrat Party day after day after day after day. I mean, they could do that on cable. You take the show, move it to MSNBC, no problem. You can do that on cable. You can have a comedy show like Gutfeld that is conservative in its orientation on Fox. And you could have the same thing on MSNBC. Jimmy Kimmel, I'm seeing a new home for you right about now. Anyway, Cheryl Hines went on the show to talk about, I guess, her new book. And I'll tell you, this got funny because she totally smoked Sunny Hostin, who's not a very bright woman, by the way.
The problem, respectfully, is that your husband is the least qualified Department of Health and Human Services head that we've had in history.
I do not.
I think that's a very dangerous.
Why is he less qualified than an economist?
I think
How is that
he
possible?
is less qualified.
He has spent his career studying toxins, studying people's health, fighting for one guy who was using Roundup for his job.
He has also spread a lot of misinformation, a lot of chaos, a lot of confusion. And I think it's just a very dangerous thing. I say it with the utmost respect.
Some of it's good and some of it's not. That's the point.
Listen, we all have different views here.
Yes.
And when you say, misinformation, disinformation, we could go back to COVID when...
He's connecting circumcision to autism.
May I finish?
Please.
When Fauci people were saying when you get the vaccine, you cannot transmit COVID. It will stop COVID. And that was disinformation, misinformation.
We were also still learning about it. It was a novel virus we've never encountered before.
Right.
Because now the doctors will acknowledge that
and Dr. Fauci has a medical degree.
At the time, they were censoring Bobby because Bobby said, where's the science to show us this? And there wasn't any.
You weren't allowed.
People attacked him and said, you're wrong. So it's like, let's take a step back. I know that's your opinion, and that's okay.
She's right, all right? By the way, he's got a tremendous background. And he was legally fighting for the rights of people who had been exposed to chemicals like the Roundup she mentioned. And so a tremendous educational background as well. And, ran into his own challenges with chemicals and substances. So the point being, he has devoted his life to this. And she's correct in saying not everybody who's been head of HHS has ever been a doctor. So why do you come off on your high horse? You want to talk about misinformation? You guys are the ones with the misinformation. For goodness sakes, we had to listen to Fauci tell us, okay, you don't need a mask. Oh, wait a second. Now you need 3 masks. I mean, we were all over the mulberry bush. Do not forget on that. I will not forget that. No one will forget that. And we can give the excuse, okay, we didn't know at the time, but you know what? There was a lot of misinformation. And eventually we did know certain things, like the virus was originated out of Wuhan, China, but you weren't allowed to talk about that either. No, not until much later in time. So once again, we get an ABC host, much like Georgie Poo, who decides when the going gets tough, we just go to commercial. Take a look.
Your husband, when he announced basically that he believed he found some causal links between autism and Tylenol, it created a lot of panic in women who were being told by their OBGYNs who look at them that Tylenol, if necessary to treat pain during pregnancy, is safe. What would you say, and I know you're not a medical professional, but to women who now feel anxious and nervous because their doctor's telling them one thing, but the top public health professional is telling them something very different?
Not a professional.
Well, they said consult your doctor before taking it. That's what they were saying, and that holds. So I agree. Listen, I've been pregnant. I understand it's stressful being pregnant. I found, because you're so concerned with everything. I didn't drink caffeine when I was pregnant. So to say, hey, consult your doctor before you take this, I agree with that, and I think that's okay for moms to hear.
Cheryl?
Yeah, go ahead.
Now,
all right.
I am. This is not your fight, really, to be fighting. Yeah. This is your husband's fight.
Thank you for acknowledging that. But go ahead. But hear what we're talking about.
I do want to say, he's not a doctor and he's not a professional.
Yes.
And oftentimes when he's talking, he is speaking not with the best information that we can get, because, we could do a lot better with health stuff. And there's a lot of stuff he can do. And some of the things he's suggested take it out of the hands of my doctor and me and my OBGYN and me. And I wonder, does it give you pause, and are you able to say, that might not actually be so, because I've got my experience and I've lived with this and I'm still here. So are you able to have those conversations with her?
She's so convoluted.
I am able to have those conversations. And just to be clear, 90% of secretaries of HHS have not been doctors.
But they've had
Look
a
at that.
There have been
background.
3.
Yeah.
No, to be honest.
One of Obama's secretaries of HHS was an economist.
But
So
the majority of them that haven't had medical backgrounds have had a science background.
Wait, don't
which
do
our
anything
husband doesn't
else.
have either.
Don't say anything else yet.
Because I do
we
wanna-
have to take a break.
Okay, oldest trick in the book, guys. Oldest trick in the book. And so, whether you're watching on the weekend with Georgie Poo or whether you're watching with Whoopi during the week, I hope you're not. I feel bad for you if you are. Just come over here. We'll watch it for you. We'll play the highlights that are relevant to know. They're actually relevant to know. Did you hear all the clapping and stuff that was going on? You see, that happens because somebody is holding up a big sign that says applause. They actually have to employ somebody to do that. They have to employ somebody to book the live studio audience. That show, from a financial perspective, is a total disaster. And I'll tell you, ABC cannot cut the cord fast enough. It's got to go. It's got to go because it's simply not economical. On top of which, you've invited the wrath of the president. You've invited the wrath. That's okay. You know what? I'm sure I invited the wrath of Biden during my time and a lot of presidents. You know what? That's fine. You can invite the wrath of the president. So let me be careful how I say that. What you shouldn't be doing is inviting the wrath of your communities all around America, like Jimmy Kimmel did, right after Charlie Kirk, or like The View does on a regular basis, because you're no longer serving the community. And that's where the FCC has the leeway to come in and say, hey, you know what? This really isn't working for the stations. Meanwhile, don't forget, these people, ABC News, they were all part of the same circuit, right? They were like the reverb room where the echo chamber, you say one thing and it goes there, and they were like, Donald Trump is bad, Donald Trump is bad, he's gonna steal our democracy. Remember that line that we had to hear over and over and over again?